Today, I am talking about something that I know plagues a lot of businesses, individuals, and just anyone who is looking to grow online, and that is showing up on your Instagram stories. So, when it comes to Instagram, a lot of us think solely about our posts and our feed and reels, and we don't always think about the strategy when it comes to stories. They sort of feel like this spontaneous area that I'll dive into when I have time, and I'll be able to hop on here and there and talk about my offers and build trust and nurture my audience. But at the end of the day, especially if you're a business owner, I know how tricky it is to consistently show up on stories. I mean, I'm literally speaking from personal experience. So when you leave the strategy to become this unknown, like I'll get to it when I get to it sort of thing, it's sort of a recipe for disaster, and it oftentimes results in people just not posting on their stories whatsoever, or putting up like a question box and then never actually answering the questions. Yes, I personally have done that. So today I want to share my sort of strategy that I would coach you through if you were a client wanting to show up more consistently on your stories. So what I want you to do is take out a piece of paper. If you're driving, pause or listen to this now and then kind of come back to it, but you're going to take out a piece of paper and you're going to write down all of the days of the week. So Monday through Sunday. Next, you're going to decide how many times a week you can show up and what specific days. So I recommend people starting with 3 to 4. If you want to work on a weekend, great. If you don't want to work on the weekend, that's also great. So determine which days you're going to show up. After that, you're going to go through and look at each of those days and assign some sort of topic or theme that you could talk about. So when I think about this, I ask myself, what are the goals of my story content? And a lot of the times, my stories aim to nurture and build trust with my existing audience. I know I'm not using my stories to grow to new people who have yet to come to my page. So I'm really speaking to those who are already in my audience and furthering that connection. So I want to think about client transformations or ways they can better get to know me. So let's say I determined that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were going to be the 3 days a week I showed up. So on Mondays, I might talk about a client transformation. I might walk through a client breakthrough that one of them had. Wednesdays, maybe I do an Ask Me Anything, or maybe I do a question box about a specific topic in my area of expertise. And then maybe on Friday, I do a little tutorial or do some sort of like walkthrough of whatever it is I coach someone through. So they get a little sneak peek of what it would be like to work with me. So what I love about this sort of outline framework to follow is it gives you flexibility, but structure at the same time. So it's flexible in that I'm not saying like, okay, this is the exact thing I'm going to talk about, but instead giving it a more open-ended structure to follow of I'm going to share a tip or I'm going to give a tutorial. Now, whatever that tutorial might be can vary, but I know exactly what I'm doing. A lot of the freedom and flexibility we give ourselves really causes an issue when it comes to actually getting things done. When we leave it so open-ended, we almost have choice paralysis, and then we're like, oh, well, I could talk about this or I could talk about that and whatever, and then we don't end up doing anything. That is sort of how to actually show up on your Instagram stories consistently with a strategy in mind for nurturing your audience. The last thing I want to share in this episode is my secret for boosting your story views. And that is the 24-hour rule. So the next time you go to post a new story, let your previous story time out. So that means all of your stories are going to essentially expire, and you're going to post that new story as a fresh story to your profile. For me, this usually doubles, if not triples, my story views when I do this tactic. So give it a try, let me know if it works, and also feel free to send me a DM on Instagram or TikTok with your thoughts on this story strategy framework, how you're using it for your business or brand, and stay tuned for next week's episode.